Final event of the opening day of competition here at the 2021 Rogue Invitational in Round Rock, Texas, on the infield of Dell Diamond. Thanks for being with us today, everybody, and spending your time here. My name is Sean Woodland alongside Chase Ingram. We are set for the second and final event of the day for the women. The overall standings coming into this event have Annie Thorisdottir on top of the overall leaderboard with 100 points. Gabriella Magala finished second in event one. She sits in second place. Tia Toomey, Haley Adams, and Laura Horváth all rounding out the top five. Event number two is presented by Ram Trucks. Built to serve, it is the Bella Complex, a challenge that we have seen before.
Oh, Sean, the bars at night are anything but light deep in the heart of Texas, as we got the Bella Barbell Complex, one clean anyway, ground to shoulder, squat, split, or power. One shoulder overhead, one front squat, one shoulder to overhead. As we saw on the men's side, it's all going to come down to that last shoulder to overhead movement.
10 women will be on the field here. For more on this event, let's go down to Kiki Dixon.
Guys, I spoke with several of the athletes, and the strategy is pretty similar across the board. That first lift is the safety lift, something they could get under any circumstance. Then you're going to bump it up a little bit to the expected weight. After that, that's when the fun really begins and the risks start coming. Who you guys have your money on?
Ooh. I don't know, I think at the end of this event, you might see Gabriella Magala on top of the leaderboard.
That is a very real possibility. As she has certainly been impressive over the past few months, especially given what she did at the CrossFit Games. But 10 women now on the field. Sam Briggs will be one of them. Carrie Pierce will open things up, and then we'll proceed through the order. Carolyn Prevost, who is in lane number one, will be the last athlete to lift. Emma McQuaid is in lane number 6.
McQuaid comes in. If we look at 21.4 like we did for the men, that barbell complex at the end of the open, she had a 224-pound lift. But Emma Carey, what a performance in event number one. She is one of those athletes I feel like doesn't get enough credit as far as her overall strength is concerned, and I think just because she's so young.
Here's Carrie Pierce opening up at 200 pounds.
Kiki report is that this is a weight that's expected. No doubt in my mind, roll out of bed, hit this lift in my sleep. But it's a little bit different. 10, 15 minutes out of the warm-up area. And it's not warm. I know we're in Texas, but it is getting cold outside, and that has a massive impact on how well you move with these Olympic movements.
Carolyn Prevost will be next, as they have rearranged the order from what was on our sheet. So Prevost will be next. It's Danielle Brandon who will be last. Prevost,
no problem with the squat.
Opening up at 202, and she will make that.
I like Prevost for the complexes. She's one of those, she's just an athlete. And we said that before with her background in all those different sports, is she's just an athlete. And so when you throw a complex at them, they don't have to be the strongest, because this is a very gritty style test.
2, 1, lift. Sam Briggs up next, opening up at 165 pounds.
We know this isn't going to be Briggs' event, but she's going to get hers. We know it's been something she's worked on over the years that becomes more damage control than anything else, but she's gotten better as the years gone on with controlling that. But this is going to be one for Sam to just, get herself a good lift, not overdo it, not get ourselves hurt in an event that we're just trying to keep our head above water on.
Jacqueline Dahlstrom up next. She's going to open at 205.
short dip on that first shoulder overhead. It's not necessarily a bad thing.
205, no problem for her.
What that little dip does is it adds a bit more to that stretch reflex. If you think of that stretch reflex being like a basketball bouncing off the floor, that quick little rebound or that recoil of the muscles, and that short dip allows her to have a nice, tight, quick dip position.
227 pounds on the bar for Emma Carey.
You see missing the opening clean. Now again, you don't put that weight on the bar unless you've done it with ease in the warm-up area, but as you said before, they've been standing around quite a while. It's a wide grip for her. And I tell you what, we saw something very similar to her doing that at the Granite Games earlier this year in Eagan, Minnesota, is that she missed one of her early lifts and then went on a bit of a tear on the next few.
And she will stick that, making her second attempt count. She is your early leader here in the opening heat. 227 pounds for her opening lift.
Maybe that's a little wake-up call. Some people use smelling salts, others miss their first clean.
Emily Rolfe at 195.
Rolfe, another one of those athletes that have been slowly improving her strength over the years, known more for endurance. Tall, long-limbed athlete. Usually complexes don't favor that athlete. But 195 looking like a good starting weight for her.
Ariel Lowen in lane 4 with 220 on the bar.
Lowen also at the Granite Games with Emma Carey. And that was one of those that on paper, not a lot of attention was given to it. But once you saw these athletes compete by the end of the weekend, the women coming out of that division was very strong. Mal O'Brien being one of the other athletes who will be coming up in heat number 2.
220 good for Lowen. She moves into second place behind Emma Carey.
Where Lowen accidentally PR'd her snatch by 10 pounds because she didn't know what she loaded on her bar.
Turi Helgadottir up next, 205 pounds on the barbell for her.
Now Turi, definitely, she's not the strongest athlete, but she has done a lot of competing on the international scene for Iceland, specifically in Olympic weightlifting. And for her, is that her biggest strength is actually her technique that she has on the lifts.
Turi standing up with it.
Final jerk, no problem for Turi.
Now for Turi, as we said, strength isn't her strength, and she has to have near flawless technique to hit these lifts. You'll see something as simple as that, 10-pound difference, and almost like a light switch turns off. It has to be perfect for Turi.
Here's Emma McQuaid at 207.
McQuaid, if we're looking at 21.4, that complex we did after 21.3 in the Open earlier this year, is McQuaid actually had the 3rd heaviest of all the women here for the Rogue Invitational.
207 will count for Emma McQuaid, and that leaves Danielle Brandon as the only woman who has yet to lift in the first of these 3 rounds. And Brandon's going to open at 205.
3, 2, 1, lift. Brandon in the zone as she gets underneath the bar.
Just a very strong athlete. Her overhead position, so good, so strong. Had a little bit of a shoulder thing during the games this year. She's been working on shoring that up post games.
That will bring us to round 2, the second of 3 rounds here in this first of 2 heats. And it's back to Carey Pierce making a 12-pound jump up to 212 pounds.
And that second round is the lift that we want to hit. So these are goal weights. And what that means is it's not necessarily a sure thing. These are, about 90 percenters. And that 10%, it becomes a big 10% when you have a complex. That clean was a little forward. That front squat is actually much better than the clean was. And that shoulder overhead position, obviously we know how strong Carey Pierce's shoulders are. And for her, it's just going to come down to the clean. So it's not often you see that being the issue for the athletes. It's usually quite the opposite.
Carolyn Prevost is going to jump up 10 pounds. She moves to 212 here on her second attempt.
So Pierce has already put up 212. Prevost, you see that narrow grip for an overhead position. And it's going to be harder on the second time around. And you
Fighting through
press it out.
And she will make it. 212 good for Carolyn Prevost.
That's two things that can help her. She can either spread her hands out for the jerk or opt for that split, which will help get around that overhead position for her.
There's Sam Briggs. She adds 15 pounds from her first attempt. She's now at 180.
Again, for Briggs, we know what her strengths are. And as far as her strengths are concerned is that there's not many people that can match what she does. And to hit the second jerk after a failed attempt by itself is an impressive feat.
And Briggs just can't get under it. She fails at 180 pounds.
And honestly, for Sam, as you don't hit 185, so you're gonna have to give that another shot. You have 165 to your name. You got to make sure that you have a little bit of self-preservation going into that third lift.
Jacqueline Dahlstrom, her second of 3 lifts, 215 pounds on the barbell.
Completing her front
She
squat.
has that really nice tight dip. An athlete who had that as well is actually Camille LeBlanc-Bazinet. She had a very shallow dip where that bar whipped hard at the bottom, and that really does help get it off the shoulders.
Here's Emma Carey, who has added 5 pounds, now moving up to 232.
I said about hand position for a lot of athletes. She has a very wide grip. Look how wide her hands are. Now, that's not unnatural for most Olympic weightlifters. In fact, that's a very savvy position to be in because it just limits how far that bar has to go overhead. You're going to have a quicker lockout of the elbow, and that looks much better than 227 did.
232 pounds for 17-year-old
Oh, yeah.
Emma Carey.
We forgot to put that part in there. And it's amazing. It's like she is 17. She's just a child, but she carries herself so well for a 17-year-old. If I was out there, I mean, heaven forbid anybody sees me when I was 17. Look up the definition of dumpster fire in the dictionary. It's a picture of me at 17.
Here's Emily Rolfe at 205. She's made a 10-pound jump from her first attempt. That's a great lift for Emily Rolfe.
And that for her is that she dropped much lower than she did on the first one. We've been saying that for a few athletes now. The only thing that she needs to clean up is that back foot. Her back foot laid flat, and that could cause a problem as those weights go up for her next set.
Here's Ariel Lowen at 225, trying to stay in second place in this heat. Whoa.
And we said that re-rack as you get to those upper echelon weights is something that can really screw up your complex.
And Lowen has it.
Holding it down for the moms.
Turi Helgadottir up next.
You see when these bars get heavier, she'll actually do a double bounce on the clean.
212 pounds for her.
Still looks very good. Nice strong lockout. She's got to make sure she just keeps her chest up on this front squat.
She is 2 for 2.
Strong. Good lift. Not a lot of knees caving in on the squats. No real elbow bend on the lockouts. Just good lift.
Now to Emma McQuaid at 217 pounds. 10-pound jump from round 1.
McQuaid still opting for that power position. Nice, tight, short dip on the split jerk. As her hands come out a little bit after the front squat. It looks very good overhead. It's the squat, and that's why you see her power the first one and why that squat's a little shaky on the front squat position. So overhead, McQuaid is actually much more confident than she is going below parallel.
Danielle Brandon to close out the second of 3 rounds, 217 on the barbell for her as well.
See that re-racking of the bar is something that seems to be bothering Danielle Brandon just a little bit. She's making a little bit of a face after the clean and after the re-rack. But still a good lift. I mean, she looks strong. She looks comfortable. We see that on that. We'll see on the third round. Just looks like that receiving position is giving her a little bit of fits.
Third and final round, and we open with Carrie Pierce, who jumps up 8 pounds to 220.
It's going to be the clean for Pierce. You saw her struggle on the earlier one, but again, the overheads aren't much of an issue for her. Her shoulders are just so strong. She's going to have to really keep those knees out on the front squat. Again, the front squat's better than the clean. That bar's not crashing on her.
And 220 is good for Carrie Pierce. This is her final competition as she will retire after the Rogue Invitational. Trying to make it a memorable experience, and that lift will go a long way towards that.
And it was supposed to happen at the games this year in Madison, but one of those athletes that unfortunately had a positive COVID test, and it took it away from her. So that's why she's here at the Rogue Invitational.
Carolyn Prevost, her third and final lift, 217 pounds.
That overhead position, again, is the struggle there. Now she is opting for the split that should help. It's not often to see a re-rack and then a make. That bar shot out way far in front, but good effort.
And you saw her look to her judge for confirmation that she could continue. She didn't have to start all over again. And now here's Sam Briggs, another attempt at 180 pounds.
And here for Briggs, it's just, listen, get a lift in if you want it. You don't really need it. You're going to get what you're going to get as far as placing is concerned. You just got to make sure is that you get out of here unscathed, because there are some events waiting in days 2 and 3 that will play well to her strong suits.
7 total events here at the Rogue Invitational. We know 6 of them. We do not know the 7th and final event that awaits on Sunday. And Sam Briggs will make that.
And some of that too is like you're going to get 20th no matter what you hit in here, but some of that is confidence leading in. Just because you didn't have the biggest lift, having a successful one helps.
Here's Jacqueline Dahlstrom at 222.
Dahlstrom's looked very good over the last 2 rounds. And I like her over at position. She has a nice quick split. One of those things you look for on the split is also the back leg. Watch the back knee. I'm going to make sure that bends and allows an athlete to brace the bar, a lot like a shock absorber.
Emma Carey making another 5-pound jump, 237 pounds on the bar. Looking at the rest of the field, no one has anything heavier than this on her barbell right now.
She even caught that clean very far back on the heel, so that was a good save on the clean. Just have a nice solid re-rack, flat foot position on the front squat. Again, she still goes wide. I mean, this is some great, just technical lifting from Emma Carey.
237 as she looks to win the opening heat here. And other than a brief struggle with the opening barbell, she was about perfect the rest of the way. Now here's Emily Rolfe at 215.
Now it was hard for her there as that bar crashed on her pretty hard. That took her out of a good receiving position. I said, watch her back foot, see how it sits flat? Now what that's gonna do to her, she should have a better front squat than she did a clean on this, just because you won't have the bar hit her too hard. But that back leg We taught Dahlstrom bending it. If you don't bend the leg, you don't have a lot of room, and usually that bar will shoot out forward because you've locked the back leg. Wow.
And Rolf is able to save it, so 215 is good for her. Here's Ariel Lone at 230.
Now she had a rough re-rack on round 2. Better for her third one. She's got to get her good grip on the bar. Get underneath it a bit more on the second attempt.
Lowen cannot make that.
And a lot of this, Sean, is time under tension. You see some of these athletes move quick because just sitting there with that bar, 230 pounds on your body, is going to take some energy out of you.
Here's Turi Helgadottir, her final attempt at 220 pounds.
Decent speed coming out of the hole on that clean. Good receiving position on the jerk. Now she's just got to make sure she stays nice and upright on this front squat. Drive her hips under the bar to support it. And then get nice and low, good bracing. Very nice.
220, good for Turi Helgadottir. She's on a solid day one.
Not just that, that'll get you 3 white lights at a weightlifting competition. Something you don't often see in a CrossFit version of Olympic lifting.
Emma McQuaid jumping up 10 pounds from round 2, 227 on the bar for her.
Now for her, it's the squat. Overhead, no problem, power clean. It's just this one front squat that's been giving her some trouble. It's actually been her best one so far after 2 rounds. Ooh.
And 227.
That's the same face I was making.
On the board for Emma McQuaid.
I like it when the athletes know what they did. You know. You know you got away with one.
Now Danielle Brandon to close out this first heat, 227 pounds, looking to match Emma McQuaid.
That's the first time we've seen Danielle Brandon squat clean the first rep. Now the re-rack, you can just see just a little bit of a grimace. And honestly, it could just be something you just don't enjoy. That's perfectly acceptable. Now hers, just as long as she gets it overhead. Oh.
But Danielle Brandon is not able to hit 227 pounds. She will settle for 217, and it's Emma Carey who will win the opening heat at 237 pounds.
And it looked good. That's the great part, and that's what you want to see with these young athletes, is that not only are they getting stronger, but they're doing it with wonderful technique. And that is what you want to see. If you're a new athlete on the sport, look, you're going to get stronger just based off maturing alone. So you might as well just focus on your technique and let nature run its course, right? You're going to get stronger, so don't overdo it. Don't jump, don't skip steps. Focus on your technique, and you know, you see Emma Carey, 237 at 17 years old.
Well, 237 on the women's side of the competition for a clean and jerk is a weight that not that long ago for the best in the field was really, really good.
If this is the ladder back in 2013 at the CrossFit Games, she wins it by 10 pounds. That's the crazy thing.
Let's take one more look here. This is the last lift from Emma McQuaid that she knew she sneaked one out here.
She did, right? We said earlier before, it's the leg strength that's not there, but she has a good power in that dip position. Nice lockout on the first rep. As you said before, is that what this squat's going to do is take away some of that power for the second one. And watch her left elbow buckle and then regain it. She looks back and is like, sneaked one in there for that second rep. But Emma Carey, see how far back she received that bar? That was a good save, and that usually takes a lot out of your legs. What I loved here is she has a nice wide position, but the elbows are still up enough that you need. But watch this split jerk. Watch her elbows. Good dip, solid lockout. That'll count on any platform. And to do that at 17, as you said, Emma Carey might get the third most attention of our young phenoms coming up between Mal O'Brien and Haley Adams, but she is deserving of more attention on the spotlight.
And she's deserving of an interview with Kiki Dixon.
Emma, the Bella Complex combines several lifts into one. What was your approach for this? Are you training complexes often at home?
I do a lot of complexes. Strength used to be my absolute biggest weakness, which makes this moment so special that hard work has paid off. And it's not just my hard work, it's the hard work of my team and my coach, my family. On the 237, I saw my mom jumping up and down in front of me, and I was like, I can't miss this. So it is just the best feeling to see hard work pay off like this, and has me excited for how far I can go.
Well done. Back to you guys.
Chase, I'm going to guess at 17 years old, you were not that eloquent.
No, it's like, what other things are you going to make me feel bad about? I'm not that eloquent now. What are we talking about at 17? I can't even get through a broadcast without stumbling over my words.
We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with the second and final heat for the women in the Bella Complex here at the 2021 Rogue Invitational. Stick around, everybody.
Let's go, Catherine!
Time for the second and final heat of the Bella Complex here at the 2021 Rogue Invitational, the second event for the individuals. As they close out day one of competition, we just watched Emma Carey take the first heat with a top lift of 237 pounds.
Bella Complex, one clean, power split or squat of your choosing. One shoulder overhead followed by a front squat and another shoulder to overhead. And the show we got in heat one from Emma Carey, I'm very curious to see how that stacks up with these 10 ladies coming in, and one of them is going to be Amanda Barnhart. Now, I want to see what she does, because one of her biggest weaknesses isn't the clean itself, it's actually the technique on the jerk, which is hopefully something she's been working on over the last year and a half to 2 years with Ben Bergeron and Comp Train. So I'm curious to see that on display here in event number 2. But one athlete that I think you may see at the top of the leaderboard at the end of day number 1 is Gabrielle Magala, one of the early CrossFit teens that doesn't really get talked about too much as being some of that generation coming in. Just 23 years old, but she is a very strong athlete. And so where she's sitting currently on the leaderboard in second overall, I think depending on what she hits here, you might see her name at the top.
Well, Katrin David's daughter will be up first, and she has 205 pounds on the barbell.
If you look at Katrin David's daughter, if there was a lift she didn't want to come up in this format, this is probably the one that it's going to be, because what David's daughter is great at is actually snatches. Cleans is one of her weaker movements. And then you couple that with another front squat. This is actually going to be a damage control event for Katrin David's daughter. And for her, she's good overhead. But again, it's just that front racked squat and clean position. And it's not a bad position. It's just not her strongest movement.
That one will count for Catherine Davids-Zotter, making her third appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. She was fourth the last time this competition was held in person back in 2019 in Columbus, Ohio. And that brings us to Amanda Barnhart opening up at 227 pounds.
Barnhart getting underneath it, Larry.
Barnhart just so powerful in the squat, and now that's a much better shoulder to overhead position that we've seen in the past for her. But look how we talked about Justin Medeiros and that bar popping up. She's hopping up out of the bottom of that clean. Now for her, she's got to slow it down just a little bit on those jerks.
Christy Aramo O'Connell is next. Her opening lift at 207 pounds.
What a year she's had. Didn't qualify out of the Granite Games and then dominated in the last chance qualifier, then sitting in a top 10 finish at the CrossFit Games. Aramo O'Connell, one of those athletes, you never really know what you're going to get, but has been super consistent over the years. Obviously, a barbell has been one of her weaker points. She has been working on that, and O'Connell is just another solid athlete in the field.
207 is good for Aramo O'Connell. And now to Mal O'Brien, who's going to open up at 222 pounds.
Here's the thing for Mal O'Brien. She is incredibly strong, but she has some deficiencies in the technique as far as the clean is concerned. You know, we saw Emma Carey with that very strong movement, and what we see from Mal, she has a little hitch above the knee. Now it's not as prominent as it has been in the past. So it looks like she is cleaning that up. The front squat is not going to be an issue. The overhead itself, again, a little shaky, but that's because it's the first one. It's just on that first clean. We'll see it in the second round. That little bit of a hitch.
Here's Gabriella Magala at 215.
Magala is a good lifter. She has a lot of experience in this.
3, 2, 1.
Fourth best in the field, 21.4, fourth heaviest listed clean and jerk. You see that smooth bar path, different than we saw from Mal O'Brien. And this is definitely one of those weights for her where it was a sure no doubt in my mind. And 215, that's 22 pounds out from what Emma Carey hit. That's well in reach in 2 more sets. In this first round lift, you know what Emma Carey did, she only jumped 5 pounds per from her opening lift.
Haley Adams, 195 for her first of 3 attempts.
And this is one of those events for Haley where steal points where you can. And what I mean by that is, like, you're probably going to be in the bottom 5 just based off your lifted max versus the other athletes. But can you steal some points? Can you snag 5 points from Sam Briggs, which she's already done with 195? Can you possibly pass Emily Rolfe's weight and get yourself 5 or 10 points that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise?
Here's Kristen Holta at 207. She's another athlete who has been in the sport for quite a while. She has announced her retirement as well. We're trying to get a couple more competitions under her belt before that happens. Making her third appearance here at the Rogue Invitational. And just one of the most consistent athletes that we've seen on the women's side over the past 10 years.
One of those athletes that you didn't talk about her until she got on the podium at the end of the weekend, but Holta and O'Connell, to me, are very similar skill-setted athletes, with Holta has had a little bit more success over the years than O'Connell, but both very, very consistent and always up there in the top 10 and 15.
Annie Thorstadter opening up at 210 pounds. Overall leader after one event, after picking up the win in event number 1 earlier today.
The one thing for Annie is that if she can clean it, more often than not, she's going to jerk it. She already has the smile over her head before she even got to it, and she said it herself, is like her biggest weakness in this movement is going to be the clean and the front squat. But if she can get it to the shoulders, more often than not, she's always going to nail that split jerk.
Here's Laura Horváth at 235 pounds. Tia Toomey also with 235 pounds on her barbell. She'll lift last.
Horváth is very good with a barbell, but one of the best out here is Tia Toomey. Has the second heaviest clean jerk in competition, but Laura Horváth, very comfortable with the barbell. Now the clean, not so much, but again, that could just be a product of standing around. Like this event started and she still had 5 more minutes to wait than the other athletes.
And now Tia Toomey to close out round 1, trying to match Laura Horváth at 235 pounds.
2, 1, lift.
Talking about technique, strength,
Tia-Clair Toomey.
power. You don't make the Summer Olympics for Australia in weightlifting if you don't have all those.
235 is good for Toomey, so she and Horváth with the 2 best lifts in round number 1. As we move to round number 2, 3 total rounds here in the Bella Complex. Katrin Davidsdottir will kick things off as she moves up 10 pounds to 215.
3, 2, 1, lift. Platform 10.
Katrin, it's all about the opening clean. The front squat's going to be better than the clean. And that's a lot of just positioning. So you're able to put yourself in a better position just from that front rack position. Get that bar a little bit further back and see how far back it is on her collarbone. Again, overhead, she's so good.
215 is good for Katrin Davidsdottir. Amanda Barnhart up next. Barnhart looking to go 2 pounds better than Toomey and Horváth at 237.
For Barnhart, it's always interesting to watch her lift because I feel like no matter when we've ever seen her, it's been effortless, 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 and then the lights turn. You see her, she's hopping out of the bottom. And there it is.
No.
That's what we said coming in. It's just the overhead. The jerk has always been an issue for her. It has nothing to do with strength and everything to do with positioning. Oftentimes when it gets a little heavy, she shortens up her split jerk as far as her feet, and then it doesn't allow her to drop underneath the bar enough to get her elbows locked out.
Christy Aramo O'Connell, 8-pound jump to 215.
See that left elbow, a little shaky on the first attempt. She's going to have less power in the legs on this one, so she needs to bend that back leg more and brace a bit better, and that was better.
215 is good for Christy Aramo O'Connell, and now Mal O'Brien jumping up to 232.
I said last time about the hitch, so watch this bar come up as it gets right above her knees. So do almost this little bit of a hitch or a little bit of an extra jerk right there as she does the clean. Now remember that, and then let's see what Gabriella Magala does. And then for Emma Carey, or for Mal O'Brien, she's so strong for just 17. So much power. And she's going to be very dangerous as that hit. Now, I'll say this, it's a little hitch. It used to be very prominent, so she has worked on that. But it's something that's tough to get away. Annie Thorisdottir used to do the same thing back when she was in her early years.
Gabriella Magala jumping up to 225. You saw the mark to beat earlier. It belongs to Emma Carey at 237 pounds.
See that smooth bar path right above the knee, no hitch. It just speeds up from that position. Good upright position on the squat, so she has the strength. Now it's the speed under. Got a little shaky in the elbows. I think she has more in her. I almost feel like she can be a bit more aggressive on the drive portion of the shoulder overhead. She's being very smooth, which is a good thing, right? Smooth is fast, and that's what we want with Olympic lifting. You don't want to be out of control, but I feel like Gabriella can put a little bit more into the drive portion of that jerk.
Haley Adams now at 205.
for Haley. I believe 205 is going to match what Rolf put up. She's already above Sam Briggs, so that'll match. So she's evened up. And, you know, the coach should be doing the math, knowing what was done, what's to come. How can we get you 5 points that you currently don't have in this position? That's what the coach is trying to work with Haley on this third and final round.
Kristen Holta at 217.
She looks way better on the second attempt. Now she's warm, right? You get the first one out of the way. Oftentimes, it's actually the first one that's tougher than the second one. Moving very quick, too, limiting how much time.
Good fight there.
Yeah.
She's able to stabilize it. So 217, good for Kristen Holta.
Good little save. Bar a little out front.
Annie Thorstadter making a 15-pound jump as she goes up to 225.
3, 2, 1, lift.
Annie having one of the more memorable moments we've seen at the games, and I would say in her storied career, aside from that muscle up in 2009 that we saw in the snatch event, going head-to-head with Tia Toomey, and she looks very good on that overhead. And again, it's just the squats and the cleans. Her shoulder overhead is so strong.
And that is good for Annie Thorstadter. So 2 lifters remain here in round 2, Laura Horváth and Tia Toomey. Horváth with 247 pounds on the bar. This would make her the new leader in the event.
It's a big jump because, you know, 235, it looked much different than Tia's 235, but as we said before, that clean actually looked much better than her first round. That's more like it. Laura looked off on the first set, but like we said, she's been standing out here much longer than the other athletes, along with Tia Toomey, and that's the lifting I'm used to seeing from Laura Horváth.
Laura Horváth is your new leader at 247, and while she was completing the last part of that complex, the fireworks are going off for Laura Horváth, although we're not done yet, but I guess that lift was worthy of something like that. Tia Toomey loaded her bar to 250.
And here's the game within the game. It was at that weight. She decided no matter what, I'm going to go into the third round with a lead. And if she can get this, that also means if she gets jumped by Laura, she's going to have to lift less to beat her.
And Tia Toomey hits 250. And she takes the lead, and that is a new record on the Bella Complex, hence the fireworks.
That makes sense. Records dropping round to round.
Third and final round, Tia Toomey, your leader at 250 pounds. Katherine Davidsdottir, meanwhile, at 225, and she's going to dump that after the clean. Still plenty of time for her to make another attempt.
Catching a lot like Annie is if she can get it to the shoulders. She has a very good shot of hitting it, but this is at the top end of her ability.
Katherine Davidsdottir won't get that to go. She will settle for a final lift of 215 pounds. And Chrissy Aramo O'Connell now is up after Amanda Barnhart. Amanda Barnhart
Went
240.
Up. She went up. Now, as the last jerk, she's just a little out of control. Secure that rack position. Make sure your position is solid. And what it's going to be, it's her left arm, and it's her back right leg. She needs to bend that much more to allow herself to brace that weight. Now, it's much better, but if she wants to maximize her strength, which she's not doing, is that she's got to bend that back leg. That is really blunting her ability to put more weight overhead, and she's fully capable of doing it.
Chrissy Aramo O'Connell is making some adjustments to her bar. She goes to 217 pounds now for her final lift, just going up by 2 from round 2.
And that's good because that would have, she went with 215, that puts her in a tie with Davidsdottir. And this is what I was hoping to see a bit more from other athletes, is making little pound adjustments to separate from the rest of those that are getting bunched up into these numbers.
217 is good for Aramo O'Connell. Now Mal O'Brien at 237.
Again, an interesting weight because we've already seen 237. Good. Tough dig.
Just can't hit the jerk. This is only a 5-pound jump from round 2, but.
Now she can go again, but the effort that she had to use to get out of the hole on that first clean, I mean, it was almost like 3 reps worth to get out of the bottom.
It doesn't look like O'Brien's going to make another attempt. So she'll settle for 232. Now here's Gabriella Magala at 235.
She's made some conservative jumps. It's all looked so good. I say we wanted more out of the drive of that. She's still got more in the tank.
And 235 will count for Gabriella Magala.
And it's a great lift. I just feel like she was being a bit too conservative, honestly. And with the field that you're playing in, I mean, when you have Horváth, Toomeys, Barnharts, like you can't be too conservative. Now for Adams, she actually needs to get 215, though she's going for 12 because Rolf actually got 215. So he said chasing point. So 12 isn't going to separate herself too much from the other athletes at the bottom.
And Adams will fight through that. Final jerk to make this count. And Haley Adams will hit it.
And that's good for Haley.
Kristen Holte at 222, adding 5 pounds from round number 2.
Holte has 217 already. Her strength in the legs is there, but it's just getting underneath the bar to be able to receive that locked out, not pressed out.
Oh, just can't hit the jerk.
And that's where that second front squat's in there. You can't do the same thing from first split jerk to second. You have to put way more into it.
Here's Annie Thorisdottir, final lift, 235 pounds.
Here goes Annie Thorisdottir. Annie Thorisdottir sitting up for 235.
Based off of 225 look like, I'm surprised she went 235 with a chance to break the tie with Gabriella, who she's only 5 points ahead of. So she could have gotten 5 pounds if she gets this lift. And that smile says that she thinks she has it already.
And she does indeed. 235 good for Annie Thorisdottir.
There's more there.
Now to Laura Horváth, who has 257 pounds on the barbell. Tia Toomey has already loaded her bar to 260.
Good. Horváth's another athlete, has a great overhead position when it comes to the jerk. She's able to get that bar so far back, secure it with almost the back of the shoulders instead of the front of the shoulders. Now you got to get a good grip, you got to get a good drive.
257
nice.
is good for Laura Horváth. And that is a new record.
Fireworks.
You don't want to take your finger off that button just yet because we got 260 pounds on the bar for Tia Toomey. Final lift of this event.
Okay. Next front squat's going to be huge to determine how much she's got left in that second jerk.
And wow. 260, a new record and an event win for Tia Toomey.
260 for Tia-Clair Toomey. Give it up, ladies and gentlemen, one more time.
And maybe the fireworks ran out of ammo.
I say we're going to run out of fireworks with this crowd.
But it is a record for the Bella Complex for the women. It is an event win, and Tia Toomey will earn 100 points. And she looks to be the overall leader heading into day number 2, a spot on the leaderboard she is very accustomed to occupying.
And I thought Magala had a chance based off what her numbers were. I think she's being very conservative for what she did, but I'm not surprised Toomey did what she did. Magala didn't need to win to get into the top position because she was ahead, but I really like what Toomey did there, fighting for it at the end, but I also like Laura not backing off either. Magala and Thorsdottir, I think, were a bit conservative, and if that's the game we're going to play as the weekend, that's not the game that these two athletes are playing. If you saw, I mean, we talked about last night on Horváth's Instagram, is that she is here to not just be like, hey, you know, I want to be able to do well. Like, she's bringing it this weekend.
Well, there are a lot of people over the past couple of years that thought maybe Laura Horváth just didn't have it anymore. She certainly proved those people wrong by finishing second at the games and is continuing to do that here at the Rogue Invitational. Very solid day 1 for Laura Horváth as she goes toe-to-toe with the champ here in event number 2. Let's take one last look at Tia Toomey's final record-breaking lift here.
Just strong overhead. She has one of the highest clean and jerks in live competition that we've seen. And that complex was just 10 pounds less than she's done for a single clean and jerk. And her second lift looked better than the first one.
Tia Toomey setting a record, grabbing 100 points and getting another event win. And the 2-time Rogue Invitational champion is with Kiki Dixon.
Tia, several lifts combined into one for this event. What's the most challenging aspect of this? Is it time under tension, receiving the jerk, something else?
I definitely think a few things play into factor. Obviously, time under tension isn't ideal, but it's probably just staying focused.
You're the 2-time champ for this event. What do you love most about the Rogue Invitational?
Just every year gets better and better.
And some fireworks?
Yeah, that was really nice. It allowed us to push a little bit, dig a deep bit. Oh, sorry. This is really killing me right now. Dig a bit deeper and, you know, try and work it for those fireworks for sure.
Thanks, Tia. That's a wrap for us down here on the floor. It's been a great day down here, guys.
Thank you, Kiki, and thank you, Tia Toomey, for once again reminding us just how dominant you truly are. Another event win for her here at the Rogue Invitational as she looks to defend her title for the 2nd straight time and become the 3-time Rogue Invitational champion. But still plenty of competition to go, and there are some women here who look like they're serious about taking her down.
I mean, and that's what you want to see. What you want to see is that, we've said it before, is that ultimate power breeds ultimate challengers, and that's what you see with Tia Toomey. And now you have the young athletes in the sport like the Emma Carey's throwing up 237 after that not being her strength in quotes. Laura Horváth looks like a completely different athlete that we've seen over the last 3 years. I can't wait to see what happens tomorrow.
Stick around. The Rogue Iron Game is coming up next. We'll recap the entire day of competition. We'll see you then here at the 2021 Rogue Invitational.